Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Chase with Jace, and we're finally here. It's finally game week. We actually get to talk about a game coming up this week, and it's a big one. It's the Battle of the Tigers, LSU against Clemson. And join me to talk about the season opener. That is Taylor Sharp, my man, my partner in crime on the VSN broadcast every single Friday night. We're actually going to be back tomorrow as the Pittsburgh gets to kick off their season. But we're here to talk about the Tigers. Taylor, we're about to get ready, get the pigskin getting kicked off on Saturday, so it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're just a few short hours away. I mean, not you can count it down, you can see it on the horizon. I'm excited. Week one, we had the week zero games last week. That was kind of the appetizer. This is the entree. This is the main course. Like, we're here, we are ready to go. I am fired up for it.
Absolutely, Taylor. We're going to talk a lot about the Tigers, the LSU Tigers, before we get into the Clemson matchup. And like myself, you've been to a lot of the practices when you're able to, especially when you're not busy fooling around with Flynn and Hester. But when you're able to get around and get to the spring and fall practices, you got to be able to see a whole lot. So obviously, we got to start off with the quarterback position. Garrett Nussmeier, he was awarded the 18 jersey, which is a good omen if you're Tiger fans, because the last quarterback to wear the 18 jersey is Matt Balk, and of course he won led the Tigers to the national championship in 2003. So Nussmeier, I mean, there's been a lot of headlines with the knee injury and the scare that there was during the fall camp, but we've seen him, I guess, like Brian Kelly mentioned the other day about like limiting number of reps, the number of pitches, like he would say for a pitcher. We actually didn't get to see him throw this past Saturday. So, but Garrett Nussmeier, is his time. Is time to shine. Second year, we know about what Joe Burrow and Jane Daniels went through in their second year. So there are a lot of eyes on the now number 18 this year for LSU.
It's funny. I already forgot that right before I hopped on. LSU football had just like released pictures of practice, and they're like, "Hey, we're just a few games away." And I'm like, "Who the heck is that throwing the football? Why does that say 18?" I was like, "That's Garrett Nussmeier." I've already forgotten, so you can see that my head's in a lot of other places. I guess I got tunnel vision on week one, but no, look, there's high expectations on Garrett, of course, and it's warranted. I mean, you saw the flashes last year, and you always hate to bring up and compare him to great players like Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels because, like, it's almost not fair, right? Like, those two guys had historic seasons. They won the Heisman Trophy. But people do it because you saw the jump not once but twice. You saw it with Joe Burrow. You saw it with Jaden Daniels. Why the heck can't we see it with Garrett Nussmeier? And if you actually go back and look, Burrow's first year, Daniels' first year, statistically, Nussmeier was actually better than both as far as first year as a starting quarterback. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and have 60 touchdowns and go 15-0 and everything like Joe Burrow did, but the blueprint is there. We have seen it. We saw it under Orgeron. We've seen it under Brian Kelly. These guys taking that second-year jump, that's a real thing. I don't see why Nussmeier can't do something similar this year in 25.
Yeah, and especially not only because of having another year in the offense, return your offensive coordinator back. That's a big thing. And Joe Sloan back for another year as your OC. You also have a lot of really good weapons to play with, and we've seen it constantly at LSU with wide receiver talent, and that there is a whole lot of talent. I mean, you make the comment to me a lot during practice that you can't keep track of who's in a wide receiver because it doesn't really matter. They have 6, 7 guys. You add in Trades Green, you add Bauer Sharp. I mean, you have really 10 receivers out there that can make plays, and it's going to be really fun, especially seeing a lot of these receivers, which you didn't really have a year ago, that can stretch the field. And knowing Garrett Nussmeier and his ability to throw the deep ball with these wide receivers, you should expect, I guess, an increase and improvement in the deep passing game this year.
You would hope so. I mean, because think about it, all year long, everyone said when Chris Hilton gets healthy, it's going to unlock another element in this offense. You got 3 or 4 guys this year you kind of feel confident with because last year, like, And Nussmeier and Xavier Thomas, they tried that deep ball a little bit. They just, for whatever reason, couldn't get the chemistry down. You and I have been out there. They've connected on a few of those. Like, the chemistry's there. You know what it looked like with Chris Hilton Jr. at the end of the season. Like, that's why I tell everybody I'm so high on LSU this year. Not only did they have a returning quarterback, but I don't know if you know these numbers. I was actually looking at this a little bit earlier. Last 3 games of the year. So the last 2 of the regular season and the bowl game against Baylor. When Chris Hilton Jr. was fully healthy. Garrett Nussmeier completed almost 70% of his passes, 7 touchdowns, just 1 pick, because they were able to stretch the field and open everything up. And that was, you had to wait for Chris Hilton. You have Hilton, you have Berrien Brown, you have Xavier Thomas. I think Aaron Anderson's going to be used a little bit more in the deep passing game than a lot of people realize. And that's not even counting Trey'Dez Green, who can do a little bit of everything. The weapons Garrett Nussmeier has, between him coming back as his second year and all the toys he has to play with in the offense, the sky's the limit for him here in 2025.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how Joe Sloan uses these pieces, because there's just so many of them. How do you utilize that? Do you put all your speedsters all on the field at the same time? You put Hilton and Berrien Brown and Anderson all at one time, or do you want to put Bauer Sharp and Trey'Dez Green on the field at the same time? So seeing what Joe Sloan does with all these pieces is going to be very intriguing to me, especially when you have all these weapons on offense.
I'm glad you brought up the tight ends. Like, everyone wants to talk about the receivers, and I get it. And Trey'Dez Green is 6'7", 240 pounds. Like, we know that. You can't coach that. You can't teach it. You either got it or you don't. Trey'Dez does. But Bauer Sharp in this offense this year, not only does the guy have a great name, I think he's a heck of a football player as well. Like, you've been out there at the practices, and I have. We have seen him line up out wide as a wide receiver. We've seen him line up on the line of scrimmage as a traditional tight end. Heck, we've seen him line up in the backfield and be a lead blocker for Caden Durham. Like, I understand everyone wants to talk about the versatility and the wow factor of a Trey'Dez Green. Bauer Sharp's going to play a lot, and he's going to play in a lot of different spots. Like, think about why Mason Taylor was so important to the offense a year ago. Mason Taylor was not the athlete that Trey'Dez Green was. He was not 6'7", but he can make the underneath catches. He was a safety valve for Garrett Nussmeier, and Nussmeier trusted him. I see Bauer Sharp more than anybody taking over that role this year. Nussmeier goes to him a lot every time we've been out there. He's a versatile guy. He's faster than a lot of people realize. I mean, you and I have seen him. He's quick off the line.
Yeah.
I know everyone wants to talk about Trey'Dez Green, but like the 1-2 punch of Green and Sharp at the tight end position, like that's something that people are sleeping on right now.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you do have to replace the most productive tight end in LSU history in Mason Taylor, but you have to say the talent and the depth is even
top
better.
to bottom. Yeah, it's probably better, because people kind of forget about Donovan Green. A little bit more of a blocking tight end right now, but you have Donovan Green, and we haven't seen him a ton, but you have J.D. LaFleur as a freshman. J.D. LaFleur, 6'7", 250. He's not a small guy. I mean, you have depth at this tight end spot. I'm excited about that, maybe more than anything on the offense, just due to the fact that it's kind of under the radar.
Well, we know what to expect. I mean, in terms of a passing game, LSU could potentially be a top 2 or 3 passing attack this year with just the weapons and Garrett Nussmeier coming back. But just the overall success of this offense is going to come down to the running game. And that is basically a big question mark going into the year, knowing that you have a brand new offensive line. I mean, your only starter coming back or returner is DJ Chester, and you don't even know if he's even going to see.
Jace, I'm not sure he starts the way Brian Kelly's been talking lately. Like it might be Paul Mabinga at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Brian Kelly even said that there could be 6, 7, maybe even 8 guys that you will see out there, and that's something that you don't want to see with your starting offensive line. So, how concerned are you, Taylor, after seeing this offensive line, about how this group can grow up in a hurry, especially with the tough task they got against that Clemson defensive front?
It's hard to say I'm more concerned, only because I was already pretty concerned coming into the year anyways. Like, that's kind of the big thing. But I look at it one of 2 ways, because a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, that's a negative. You have no idea who your starters are. And maybe that's true. Maybe Weston Davis, maybe DJ Chester, maybe they're not playing up to the standard and you have no idea how to replace them. Or maybe Paul Mabinga and Carius Kern are playing their butts off in fall camp and they're actually pushing for a job. So many people want to look at that and say, man, this is a negative to play 8 guys. And I understand that because offensive line is not something you traditionally see rotated that heavy. But maybe it's not. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where it's like, hey, we got 2 or 3 really good guys we feel good about. And unfortunately, the only way we'll know for sure who the best one is to get them out there in game action. Like, I tend to lean more towards, I'm concerned about this offensive line. But the more I think about it, I'm like, look, Carius Kern was a guy that I remember going to Brian Kelly's National Signing Day press conference. Mm-hmm. I always listen, whether it's National Signing Day, wherever. If a coach mentions a player without specifically being asked about that player, that means they're at the top of their mind. Yeah. One of the first names Brian Kelly mentioned, and no question was asked, which freshman do you think can come in and contribute right away? One of the first names was Carius Kern, and that was back in February when this class was fully complete. I mean, Carius Kern is a guy that the staff has been really high on. He's a 5-star coming out of high school, and maybe it's one of those things where they're like, look, we'll give Weston Davis the start. We'll put in Kern in spot duties, and by week 3 when you're playing Florida, Carius Kern's ready to go. It's very similar with Emory Jones. I mean, people start talking about, oh, well, Emory Jones was a 3-year starter. Yeah, but not really. I mean, his first 3 or 4 games, he didn't play a ton. It wasn't really until that week 4 spot. So, I mean, I kind of look at it like that. I mean, you could look at it one or two ways. I'm excited. I'm nervous. But at the same time, like, I'm ready to see what this unit can do. I thought they got better as fall went, at least in run blocking. Because, I mean, they were kind of getting blown back a little bit. And even the great pass blocking O-line you had last year, they weren't good at run blocking a year ago. I thought this offensive line got a little bit better as fall camp went along.
And this group maybe flying a little bit under the radar, when you think about all the big names they had last year. And, maybe it's a little bit of a chip on this group's shoulder, really knowing that they are a brand new group. And there are a couple of starters we pretty much know that they aren't stone. I mean, Braylon Moore he's your center. That's why they got him here from Virginia Tech. And he's used to – Brian Kelly talked a lot about Braylon this Monday at his press conference, talking about his experience at Virginia Tech, playing against Clemson for so many times, and you go left tackle. I mean, Tyree Adams, he's been waiting his turn. You talk about Garrett Nussmeier waiting his turn under Jaden Daniels. Well, it's the same thing. He's been kind of waiting his turn under the wing of Will Campbell. So now it's his turn, time to shine, and you bring in Josh Thompson, another veteran guy at guard. So those 3 guys look like they're solidified, but it's going to be interesting to see how those 2 other spots play out.
Yeah, it will be. And if we want to look at it glass half full, we'll talk about what you just pointed out. Your center and your left tackle are solidified. And those are the 2 most important positions on the offensive line. And last year, and we were talking about DJ Chester a second ago, whether he starts or not. I want to look back a little bit last year. DJ Chester, after the ball was snapped, really wasn't that bad of an offensive lineman. Yeah. DJ Chester was a good lineman. He wasn't a very good center. Right. I got to tell you, I don't think I saw a bad snap from Braylon Moore all fall camp. I could be wrong. I wasn't at every single one of them. It was here and there I'd miss one. But the practices I was at, I didn't see a bad snap from Braylon Moore. Like, that is so important. You have a guy that's played a ton of football, because when the rest of your offensive line is young, if you have that veteran center, everything else kind of builds off of that. I think that's huge. So, like, if you want to look at glass half full, your center position is maybe as good as it's been since Brian Kelly's been here.
Right, and he's basically a prototypical center. I mean, in terms of Braylon's not the biggest guy out there, but you need to be athletic. You need to be able to snap the ball and then be quick with your hands. So that's somebody that can do that for you. And DJ Chester was a bigger center. Not really a conventional center like the Jason Kelsey's of the world. Those type of guys, right? So. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this offensive line continues to improve over the course of the season. But they definitely have a tall task in front with a really good, one of the best defensive fronts in the nation in Clemson. We'll talk about the running game a little bit. That's definitely a hot topic, especially going off the offensive line. But the running game, Caden Durham, I mean, he's been as advertised. I mean, this fall camp, he's been amazing.
Jace, he looks like the best player on the team right now. I mean, and that's not an exaggeration. Like, the guy's explosive.
Yeah, he's been great. I mean, it's great knowing that his ankle, the ankle issues he had last year, like that's not been a problem this fall camp. And I know he rested a lot in the spring, but you definitely have that dude in Caden Durham. The question is really about who's going to really step up to be that number 2, not only as a running back, but also I think one of the most underrated losses LSU has had this year is Josh Williams, just because of his ability to pass protect and blitz pickup and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see which running back is able to complement not only Caden Durham, but able to do those assignments that Josh Williams used to do.
Heck, dude, Josh Williams just made the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster for that exact reason, because he knows how to pass block. He does all the dirty work. Look, everyone's going to talk about Caden Durham like we were just mentioning, and rightfully so. Like, I think he's a focal point of this offense in 2025. As far as the guys behind him, everyone wants it to be Caleb Jackson. We've seen the flashes at fall camp. I personally just want to see a little bit more out of Caleb Jackson. We need the physicality. Like, he's got the frame for it. We just need the mindset just a little bit more. Harlem Berry, look, is he ready to play as a freshman? I don't know. He's certainly getting a ton of opportunity in fall camp. I mean, the guy's getting a lot of carries. But I'll tell you, Jace, the other day on our show, Matt Flynn asked us to give a prediction for LSU that maybe a lot of people weren't talking about. And my answer was, I think Juwan Johnson's going to be the second leading rusher for this team. That was my prediction. Like, Juwan Johnson is going to be invaluable to this offense. Like, we have seen him, you and I on the first team offense have seen Juwan Johnson line up at receiver, running back, and even quarterback in Wildcat packages. Yeah. I don't know how good the guy is going to be this year, but he's going to play a lot.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at it right now, Juwan Johnson might wind up being that number 2 running back, and he's just a guy that a lot of people aren't talking about. And it's kind of like his athleticism is working against him, right? I mean, we saw last year in fall camp, he was second-string star behind Harold Perkins before they moved Nate Burns there. Yeah. Then they moved him to running back. He was playing quarterback in the spring because of the Colin Hurley injury due to the car accident. Now he's back at running back. He's never found a home, but I think that home might be a running back. Like, I think he's going to get a lot of carries, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
And because of that background, being at LCA and being like the all-time leading passer and all the touchdowns he scored, he has a tendency, he could pop back there and throw it.
He could.
Trick plays and stuff like that. So that's that extra dimension you get with a guy like Juwan Johnson. And that's one of those, those toys like I talk about that I'm curious to see how Joe Sloan incorporates him in the offense. And when we've seen a lot of Juwan, we see him a lot in the red zone. He's really been the go-to running back in the red zone packages. So, we'll see what is in store for him against Clemson. Let's go talk about the defensive side of the football, Taylor, before we talk about the Clemson matchup. We see a lot of times the offensive line struggled against that defensive line. Well, a lot of people have been saying, well, is it the offensive line's that bad or the defensive line's that good? Well, the defensive line is as good as I've seen it since I've covered LSU in terms of them being able to rotate, kind of like the wide receivers. We get like a different rotation every single time. You don't know who's going to be out there. You really got 1A and 1B. But really, when the ends with Jack Pyburn and Patrick Payton, Gabriel Relaford, got Jamari Butler inside, Donovan McKinley. You have Bernard Gooden. You have Ahmad Bro. You have Jacoby and Guillory. Like, they are deep, in terms of inside and the outside.
Yeah, they are. Like, everybody wants to talk about when you look at the transfer portal, they're going to say, oh, well, it's the secondary. And I get that. Like, I think Halsey, Cooley, and Mansour Delane are all going to start. I think they've done a great job filling that position. But outside of that, like, they may have done the best job in the portal at edge rusher. Like Jack Pyburn, Patrick Payton, Jamari Butler, pairing that with a Gabriel Relaford, who honestly, Jace, may have actually looked like the best of the group here in fall camp. Like, everyone wants to hype up the transfers. I get it, but Gabriel Relaford looks like a problem. And you're talking about the middle of that defense. Now, when Bo Davis announced he was going to the New Orleans Saints, I thought it was a big hit only because, as far as an on-field coach, my opinion was Bo Davis might have been the best coach on your staff a year ago. I thought the performance he got out of the pieces he had on that defensive line were great. And then you bring in a Kyle Williams who doesn't have the experience coaching on the college level. But heck, man, he played the position for 14 years in the NFL. Kyle Williams knows what he's doing. This defensive line, though, strictly from a depth standpoint, Like you look last year. I thought last year, again, I thought those guys played as good as they could. But last year, once Jacoby and Guillory went down, you had Gio Paez, you had JVR Suggs from Grand Valley State, who actually wound up being a pretty good interior pass rusher. And then you had Ahmad Bro, who had to gain 40 pounds just to play the position.
Yeah.
Dominic McKinley came on a little bit at the end of the year, but like you essentially played with 3 interior defensive linemen all year long. You look this year, you still have Bro, you still have McKinley. They're going to be good. Guillory's back. He looks healthy. We've seen him make plays.
Yep.
Bernard Gooden, you look on the roster they gave us in fall camp. Bernard Gooden is 6'1", 268 pounds, and nobody on that LSU offensive line can block him. I don't know why. I don't know how. He gets in the backfield. He makes plays, and he'll let you know about it. He's a little firecracker over there in the middle as well. And then you look at the freshman you brought in. Zion Williams coming in, big-bodied guy. Brandon Brown's coming in. He's a big-bodied guy. Now, you don't expect them to play a ton, but they're still bodies. You didn't have this a year ago. Sydir Mitchell coming in from Texas. Like, all of these guys are bodies that you just did not have. I think that top 4 is going to be good, but, there's 6 or 7 guys that, hey, in a pinch, maybe we can make them part of the rotation. So just from a depth standpoint, I think the D-line's a lot better spot than they were a year ago.
Yeah, it is amazing with my bro's story because when he came here, he was really like an outside linebacker.
He was 245, and I think at the end of the year, he was 285. I think he gained 40 pounds.
Yeah,
and he was good. He held his own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, but that defensive line is right to where they want it to be in terms of, SEC production and just talent there from really top to bottom. And really, you can kind of look at each level of the defense at LSU and start looking at, okay, this is what LSU is supposed to look like. We look at each level of the defense, and we talk about the defensive line. Of course, the linebackers is really one of the best cores out there in the country with Witt coming back, with Harold coming back. And the interesting thing, though, we know what they can do. They've shown us what they can do. But both are coming off major injuries. So it's going to be intriguing to see how they perform coming off those injuries. But when they're both healthy and they're both right, this LSU defense is going to be scary.
Yeah, well, and like the depth behind them. Like right now, it looks like the Weeks brothers are going to be your starting linebackers. Witt and West Weeks, that's kind of been the ones. People want to talk about Devon Keys, and I get it. He ended the season on a high note. He's in that rotation. Tylen Singleton maybe had the best camp of any LSU linebacker. Yeah, he was flying to the ball. It got to where Tylen Singleton was playing in the middle. They had him blitzing off the edge. Heck, I even saw him at Star a few times early in fall camp. Like Tylen Singleton, his jump that he has made in this fall camp, it's impressive. He's going to play. He's going to play a lot this year. Like that rotation of that top 4, I'd put it up against anybody in the conference right now.
Yeah, right. And we see CJ Jim Coyley come in and
who looks really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. And really Zach Weeks. He's bigger than Witt and West right now.
I know.
Already. So they got in Keelan Mose, they got depth there at that linebacker position. You mentioned the safeties earlier, and might as well talk about them too. That was kind of like going into the season, a big question mark.
It was safety and O-line.
For sure. And the LSU did a great job with transfer portal and recruiting, just kind of supplement that a little bit. And now it looks like the safety position's looking pretty solid out there because we've seen a consistent rotation there with the 2 transfers you mentioned, Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley. And then we've seen a little bit of some of the guys that have been here, right? Like Javian Toviano and Deshaun Spears. So the safety position's looking – it's looking like as not as much of a concern as it was heading into the season.
Jace, I don't know how much more concern I have with that position at this point.
Yeah.
Just think about it this way. The guys that you had to start last year are struggling to get into the rotation this year. Jordan Gilbert started every game for you a year ago. And God bless the kid. We found out he was playing with a hurt shoulder basically the entire year. But he stuck it out. He played safety for you. He's not even a safety anymore. He is 100% a star now behind Harold Perkins. Deshaun Spears, good, kind of struggling to get on the field right now. Javian Toviano running with the 2s. These were guys that you had to ask big-time minutes of a year ago, and they're running with the 2s and 3s right now. A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley, those guys are dogs out there. I mean, they really are. Like, they're almost interchangeable. They even similar size, everything. I mean, I love the fact, like, when you got Cooley in the spring, everyone said, great, you need one more. And you went and got AJ Halsey, who everyone's raving about. Like, we were at player interviews yesterday. When Weeks was asked, give us a guy that people are going to be talking about after week one, without hesitation, he said AJ Halsey. He said, I play with that guy every day. He's going to do some special things. Like, I don't think this is hyperbole to say, and look, we've waxed poetically about this team for the last 20 minutes. Now, we're going to get into Clemson, where we're going to pump the brakes a little bit on this team. But, I mean, I don't think it's hyperbole to say right now, August 27th, this is the best secondary Brian Kelly's had since he's been in Baton Rouge. I believe that.
Oh, yeah.
You look at the corner spot. Like, you have Ashton Stampsby, you have Mansour Delane, who looks like your best corner. DJ Pickett does not look like a freshman. Jakeem Jackson's making plays. PJ Woodland's bigger and stronger than he was a year ago, and he did some nice things last year. Like, corner safety everywhere. Like, secondary's kind of turned into a concern to something where I'm like, I'm actually excited to see him get turned loose.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned the corners, right? And Mansour Delane is another guy that's really balled out this fall. I thought he's had a great fall camp, and his versatility of what he can do, whether at cornerback or he can put you a nickel, or he can play some safety as well. And he's probably one of the starting corners. And you see Ashton Stamps come back, and he's going to be your other corner. But I mean, you definitely have to find a way for a 6'5" cornerback and DJ Pickett to see the field too. So Corey Raymond, that's why you bring him back to get a lot of these guys. And it's looking like LSU trying to bring back that moniker of being DBU.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm excited. Safety, corner, star, wherever. Like, they have a lot more depth. It's just like we were talking about with the D-line. We don't know how these guys are going to perform in live game action. We can only kind of project at this point until we see them against Clemson. But if nothing else, they got bodies and they got options.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something that Brian Kelly did not have in his first year, especially with the limited scholarships. But yeah, let's talk about special teams. You do return your kicker Damian Ramos back. It seems like for the 10th year in a row. It seems like he's been the kicker the last 10 years. But it's great to have him back. You have Aaron Burrell back kicking off. And he can boom it to the back of the end zone and then some. We know the leg he's got. Punter, you bring in a transfer and Grant Chadwick, and that's going to be something we haven't really seen too much really of that to really give one distinction or the other how good or productive that's going to be. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty new with the special teams and some aspects with that. The return game, even though that's new, that's definitely supposed to be an upgrade because of what Barron Brown did when he was at Kentucky. Set all kinds of records in the return game, and we've seen Xavier Thomas and Aaron Anderson both return kicks for touchdowns last year. So special teams, that's been kind of like a wary topic here in Baton Rouge and for a lot of fans, but it seems like that this is going to be a year where you could not find anybody to consistently return. Now you actually have some options that not can only return field the kicks, but have the ability to score.
No, yeah, I mean, you flip the return game, hopefully on a 180. Like, that's a good point you bring up. Last game of the regular season, Aaron Anderson returns a kick for a touchdown against Oklahoma. Xavier Thomas does it in the bowl game. A lot of people forget about that. You bring in a guy like Barry Brown, who's like set SEC record in terms of like returns and all that. So you have options, but Jace, like people should be concerned. And I'm not saying they're not going to be good, but it's been the Achilles heel that Brian Kelly's had since he's been here in Baton Rouge, in my opinion. And like, I like Brian Kelly. I go to bat for him more than most. He's done a poor job on special teams since he's been here. Like, let's just call it like it is. He has. And I'm not necessarily saying Damian Ramos. He's been a steady presence at kicker, but you haven't had a punter. You haven't had a returner. You haven't had any of that. I mean, you got to where you put Greg Clayton back there at punt return just because he knew how to fair catch the ball. You can't do that at a place like LSU. So while I'm sitting here criticizing the special teams under Brian Kelly, I think this year is going to be a little bit different. Because, again, we go back to the depth, Jace. We've talked about the depth at receiver, at DB, at D-line. You have it here as well. Look, man, if for some reason Barry Brown goes out there and he fumbles that first punt, he's getting yanked for Xavier Thomas, who's also really good. He's getting yanked for Aaron Anderson. Like, there is no shortage of talent this year in the return game. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, remember the first guy that got the opportunity return punts, and I actually asked Brian Kelly about who was going to be the punt return, and was going to be Malik Neighbors.
Turned out to be a pretty good football player.
Yeah, turned out to be a great football player, but then obviously work out in the return game. But yeah, we talked about LSU, just our observations through fall camp, and just kind of a season preview on LSU. But really, the test is going to be this Saturday against Clemson. LSU is coming off 5 straight opening season losses, trying to avoid a 6 in a row. But not a lot of people realize Clemson is also going off a little bit of a losing streak too. They're trying to avoid their 3rd straight season opening loss, but they're at home. They're their top 5 team in the country, a favorite to win the national championship. So a lot of momentum, a lot of mojo. Kind of both two different teams and how they want to do things. LSU brought in a lot of talent to the transfer portal. Clemson, they're a team that's opposed to the transfer portal and want to develop their own guys. But we're going to see these two teams really comparative a lot position-wise. We talk about the quarterbacks, both have Heisman Trophy caliber quarterbacks. Defensive line, both have really great defenses. So, yeah, both have playmakers. So it's going to be a great battle on Saturday night.
This is where I stop pumping sunshine a little bit during this conversation, Jace. Clemson is a heck of a football team. Like, in my opinion, everyone's going to say you've lost the last 5. Get ready. I think Clemson's the best team you've played in this stretch.
Yep.
Not only, and everybody's going to point to 2023 Florida State. Great football team. Clemson's got better wide receivers, and I'm taking Cade Klubnik over Jordan Travis any day of the week. I don't think those two are particularly close. And this is a true road game. That other one was not. It was played in Orlando.
Right.
This is the toughest one you have. Now, on the flip side, I think this is the best team Brian Kelly's had in his 4 years of being here. So we'll see. It's kind of a little best on best. I mean, you talked about them being ranked in the top 5. I think they're too low. I really do.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying I'm picking Clemson to win this game. I truly don't know yet. But if you asked me, returning production, schedule, everything, I'd be hard-pressed to put anybody ranked over the Clemson Tigers right now. Like, everyone wants to talk about Nussmeier. I love Garrett Nussmeier. Been a fan of his since he got on campus. Cade Klubnik, again, coming into the season, might be the only quarterback I'd rank above it. He was a little bit better with turnovers, and he showed a lot more ability to run the football. Like, Cade Klubnik is a complete football player. But this team has flaws as well. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, you're going up against this incredible D-line. D-line's great. The rest of the defense wasn't that great. They were like 80th in the country, something like that, in rush defense a year ago. So there are ways to expose this defense. As good as they are up front, there's a couple holes in the back end. And then, we were talking about the LSU running game. You have a stud in Caden Durham who's going to be your workhorse. Clemson doesn't have that. I don't know if a lot of people listening realize this. They got 3 running backs right now because of injury. A true freshman, a freshman walk-on. Their starter is going to be Adam Randall, who has been a receiver for them. He's actually been a pretty good receiver for the last 3 years. I was looking it up today. Adam Randall in college, as far as rushing the football, 4 carries for 44 yards. That's where we're at. Now, he's 6'2", 230, and he can run. So, he's a talented guy. But he has no game experience, especially in front of a big-time opponent, as far as running the football. He's played a lot out wide. I mean, he had almost 500 yards receiving a year ago. But it's a little bit of a different role for him. That's good and bad because I think you have the advantage in running the football, but that also lets Cade Klubnik run the ball a little bit more. LSU fans are holding their breath a little bit.
Yeah.
He was so poor a year ago in defending a running quarterback, and I think he is the central piece of this running game coming into it. So, look, man, I mean, we're talking about how talented LSU is. This ain't going to be a walk in the park. This is a dang good Clemson football team.
Oh, yeah, especially on the road. But yeah, it's been interesting how LSU's been kind of handling this. I guess you've lost the last 5 season openers, so you want to try something different. And it seems like that Brian Kelly this year, this whole offseason, they've been really all in on this Clemson game. Really different than years past because you go in football ops, and they cross every other game out. Clemson, and every time we go in the indoors, they're playing the Clemson highlights. They're playing a video of the Clemson overhead shot of the stadium and the Clemson players running down, touching Howard's Rock, all of that. So yeah, they've been really all in on Clemson. So here's the thing. If LSU does lose this game, let's say it is a great game. Let's say they lose by a field goal or a touchdown. It's a great game. I mean, it's one of those things you shouldn't be. How concerned would you be? Considering that this is the expanded college football playoff and everything.
I would be a little concerned only because, again, like, it's not a conference game. Clemson's a very good team. You lose a close game, that doesn't make you a bad football team. But what it does is it leaves your margin of error just a little bit smaller. You can basically lose one game the rest of the way. Yes. I know people say, oh, well, if you take care of business, in my opinion, a 3-loss team's not going to get in. We saw it in the 4-team playoff. Everybody's going to say, oh, well, the eye test and the bias and all this. The one constant in the 4-team playoff was that no 2-loss team was going to make it. Last year, you had everybody going to bat for Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina. They had 3 losses. I think that's where the committee draws the line. I think if you have 3 losses, you're not getting it. I mean, unless the SEC kind of cannibalizes itself, everybody beats everybody, and LSU wins the SEC with three losses, I don't think they get it. So you basically can lose one game the rest of the way. The good news about that is I kind of like LSU's schedule this year. Like, you have basically 2 really tough road games. You have A&M at home. You have Florida at home. Like, those are your 2 big ones that you struggle with a year ago. You have South Carolina at home. All of those teams you played on the road. You lost 2 of them, and let's be honest, you should have lost to South Carolina.
Yep.
If you win out at home, you can essentially split Alabama and Ole Miss. Pick one. Doesn't matter. Lose one, win one, even if you lose the Clemson game. But you win this first game, you could lose both of those games. Your margin of error is that big. And I'm not saying that should be your goal or anything like that. And am I concerned if LSU loses to Clemson? No, because I half expect it. I'm 50-50 on this game right now. It shrinks your margin of error that much. And in this day and age in college football, everybody's competitive. You need all the help you can get.
Yeah. And it's going to be a tough task. And even with a tough SEC schedule, like, this opening season game might be your toughest task all year long. I mean, just off the bat, on the road against Clemson, like you mentioned, a lot of those tough games, those tough matchups for LSU at home. You do have you have to go on the road to play Alabama. You don't know about Oklahoma at the end of the season, with John Mateer and what they can do. So that's going to be on the road to end the season as well. But it's going to be a tough task, a tough schedule in the SEC. Every game is going to be tough, and not only if you lose against Clemson 2 weeks later, you got to prepare for Florida, and that's not going to be a walk in the park. So it's going to be obviously all eyes going to be glued on Saturday to see what they do against Clemson. But it can go either way, like you say, 50-50. I think it's 50-50 as well, and I think this LSU team, like you mentioned, Clemson is probably the toughest team that they played in the open. I agree with you. That Florida State team was really good, but I think this Clemson team is better. But I think this is also the best LSU team that Brian Kelly's had as well. So it's going to come up to them and see how they prepare for Saturday. Taylor, I know you said you're not going to come up with a, whoever wins the game prediction or anything, but what do you think are the keys to this game for LSU if they want to go on the road and get a win?
I think it's the running game, man. And for better or worse, it's the running game, because I think Clemson's got a lot to prove in that department. I mean, I talked about Adam Randall a minute ago. I think that's it, and I think it's hitting the deep ball. And unfortunately, you were bad at both of those things a year ago, but you and I kind of agree that you've gotten better in both of those departments. Like, I think Caden Durham might be the best player on your offense, not named Garrett Nussmeier, and then you have a bunch of weapons in the passing game that you can go to. Like, Garrett's always going to be able to hit the crossing routes and the out routes and stuff like that because he's got an NFL arm playing college football. We know that. Can you hit the explosive plays consistently? You weren't able to do that, and more importantly, you weren't able to do it against USC. You were a better football team than USC a year ago. You were a better football team Ed Orgeron's last year against UCLA. Like, you might not be the better football team in this game, but I think LSU is going to perform really well, Jace. Like, running game, I think they'll surprise people. I think Garrett Nussmeier is going to take that next step. And, I know we're kind of getting off topic here, but, as far as the performance in the first game, I want to kind of go back to that for a second, because everyone's going to say, oh, all y'all are doing is talking about Clemson and talking about how great they are, and this is the toughest opponent LSU's played since this home opener losing streak. To me, win or lose this game, it feels different inside the building for LSU. You talked about, look, there's 1-0 everywhere. You go in the team room. You've been in the team room with the press conferences just like I have. Normally, that entire schedule, you got the Alabama game sitting there pretty between the bye week and all that. Everything is covered up, but that Clemson game. They're focused on that. And I like that because, again, I think you were a better team than USC last year. You shouldn't have lost that game. You've been the better team a few times. I think you were the better team than that first Florida State team that you lost to New Orleans. I thought you were the better team in that game. Brian Kelly, I was talking about his special teams. If I have one complaint with Brian Kelly, I can handle losing a football game in an opener. It happens all the time. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose. Right. I think for 3 years now, LSU's been the underprepared team in football games for whatever reason. Put it on the coaching staff, whoever you want to. They have been the less prepared team, not necessarily the less talented team. I don't think Brian Kelly has known his team in the offseason. Like 2 years ago, I was talking to T-Bob Hebert about something because he was asking me, how Mason Smith looked. I was like, Mason Smith looks slow because I think he's hurt. Brian Kelly goes to the press conference and goes, Mason Smith's looking great. Now, Brian Kelly has forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. But sometimes you gloss over things, right? Like last year, you and I were talking about on the sidelines last year in fall camp. He's hyping up this O-line, but we're kind of getting pushed around in the running game. And that translated to the field. This year, whether it's confidence, whether it's being transparent, Brian Kelly to me seems like a coach who knows what he has. Again, they may lose the game to Clemson. It's not going to be because they're underprepared. It's not going to be because Brian Kelly doesn't truly know his team. It just feels a little bit different this year, which is what gives me confidence.
Yeah, and he said it. He's preached about how confident he is in this roster and his team. You know about how much money they spent on this roster too. So money does talk. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk throughout this whole offseason through SEC media days. Brian Kelly has been hyping the team up, but he understands like it's one thing to hype it up, is another thing to actually back it up on the field. So the team is on paper, it looks great on paper, but that's still a lot of different pieces, a lot of transfers coming in. And there's not a lot of team chemistry. So we're going to see how that goes with a lot of the transfers and a lot of different pieces coming in.
Right. And then I'll finally answer your question about keys to the game. I do think it's the running game because I think, look, obviously it's cliche, it's generic to say that, whoever controls the line of scrimmage wins the game. The reason everybody says it is because 9 out of 10 times the team that controls the line of scrimmage wins the game. And again, I think if there is one key advantage that people aren't talking about, it's probably Caden Durham versus the running back for Clemson. Now, heck, dude, he may go out there and look like Derrick Henry 2.0, but coming into the game, we just don't know. So I'm going to give LSU the advantage there. Also, the Clemson crowd is going to be loud the entire game, but do whatever you can to quiet them down. Hit those deep shots when you can. That'll kind of calm things down for you and give your offense confidence that, hey, we can do what we were not able to do a year ago. Now, flip it a little bit on the defensive side. You can't let Cade Klubnik run the ball like you let these running quarterbacks run it a year ago. And that's what everybody's going to be watching. I think he is the central piece of their running game. I think he hurt teams a lot on the ground. Harold Perkins, actually, when I was there for player interviews the other day, he said, get him to go east and west and not north and south. And I agree because Cade's a really good runner. He's not super agile. I mean, that's kind of where we're at, right? He's not a Lenora Sellers. He's not 6'5" standing back there. If you can get him to go east and west, he might put the ball in harm's way. Now, he didn't a year ago, but I like your safeties. I think if you have good safeties with the ability to get after a quarterback, that's tough for anybody to overcome. So I think kind of offensively and defensively, those are the keys for you.
Yeah, you mentioned Caden Durham offensively. I think a key player is Perkins. I mean, I think especially being able to spy the quarterback, and we know some of the problems the last couple of years with stopping a running quarterback. That's been a big problem as well for the defense. And there's been a problem. That's been a big problem. So seeing what Perkins can do, I think he's going to be a huge piece in how successful he is in being able to spy I guess Klubnik is going to be a key piece as well on Saturday. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a big time matchup. Hopefully, when we're talking about this, when we're recapping this game, it's recapping a Tigers victory, talking about an LSU Tigers victory. I'll be more specific, but
it'll be a Tiger victory one way or the other.
Victory no matter what.
Yeah,
Flip a coin, it'll be a Tiger no matter what. But it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be, a lot of interesting storylines. Whether it's Dabo versus Brian Kelly, or just the battle of the Tigers, Death Valley. Both teammates. Both teams are been saying like, what's the real Death Valley? There's been a lot of bragging rights about that all across the whole week. So there's a lot of interesting things to talk about this game, and it's a top 10 matchup in prime time. So it's going to be a great opener. LSU has to deal with this for another year after again against Clemson next year at LSU. So that's going to be interesting in itself. But yeah, we're going to see. We've been talking a whole lot about this game, but Saturday is we're going to find out. That's why you don't play the game on paper.
Look, just get it done for the fans' sake. I'm not trying to be funny when I say that, but the air comes out of everything. It almost the season is not over if you lose your opener, but to a lot of fans, the season is over if you lose your opener. It's just, I want the buzz back in the air in Baton Rouge for months. I want to be one of the top teams in October, right? That's what the fans expect. You're just behind the 8 ball if you lose that opener. Now, again, you're playing the toughest opponent, but I'm also the most confident in LSU going into this game. That's something you and I keep going back to. But am I ready to be hurt again? Yes, I absolutely am. I am 100% ready to be hurt again. If LSU loses on Saturday night, I'm going to head to Guarantee Media. I'm going to do a post game, and I'm going to be a little irritated. But you know what? There's a long season ahead of you, so I'm going to get over it. Now, I'm still going to cheer on the Tigers, but get the win for the fans, man. You don't want to feel like your season's over before it even really gets started.
A win would mean a lot to LSU, especially by far. Even though Brian Kelly did beat Alabama in his first year, I would say this will be the biggest win of the Brian Kelly era if he's able to get this done on Saturday against Clemson. And I think if you get that win, I think it's really the stars align for you to really go on a run. And like you mentioned, if you win that game, you can afford 2 losses to the SEC teams, which is manageable. But losing to Clemson, only 1 loss to SEC competition, that's that margin of error is really razor thin. So here football's finally here. This is a huge game. A lot of people, outside of LSU, are wanting, saying is Brian Kelly on the hot seat, all that talk. But we'll find out about that. Taylor, I appreciate you coming on board and talking some football on the Chase with Jace, and looking forward to catch up over the course of the season and talk a couple more LSU football tidbits.
Yeah, absolutely, Jace. I got a strange feeling I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, probably in a couple hours, I would say.
Yeah.
In a couple hours, I'll probably be seeing the Taylor. But thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
And guys, make sure to check out 104.5 ESPN. I got a lot of great content out there. I know Taylor's been working with Off the Bench a whole lot with Matt Flynn and Jacob Hester, 2 former LSU national championship Tigers there. And, of course, great content there with Hunt Palmer and Matt Moscona. So great channel there. And then for us, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll have a Chase with Jace every Wednesday night. And then we'll also have a reaction on Facebook on Sunday morning after the LSU game, kind of getting some reactions there. But make sure to go to our website. We have some bowl game commitments coming up. So make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. Appreciate you, Taylor, and we'll see y'all next time. Hopefully we're talking about an LSU victory here on the Chase with Jace.